"Remove that medal immediately," the judge snapped, his gavel clutched but not yet dropped. "It does not belong in this courtroom." The silence that followed was deafening. Staff Sergeant Nathaniel Brooks stood motionless in the center of the courtroom, his spine straight, eyes locked ahead, not in defiance, but in unwavering dignity. His dress blues were pristine. On his chest, among a tight cluster of hard-earned decorations, gleamed the Medal of Honor, the nation's highest military recognition. The courtroom, filled with veterans' families, gasped in unison. Some held portraits of lost sons, brothers and fathers. A woman in the front row whispered, "That's the tomb guard." But the judge didn't flinch. "I said remove it," he repeated, jabbing his finger. "This courtroom is a place for justice, not theatrical displays of patriotism." The words landed like a slap. The soldiers in the gallery froze. Civilians looked around, unsure whether to cry out or stand up. Staff Sergeant Brooks didn't move. His silence was more powerful than any protest. Everyone knew who he was, one of the select few chosen to guard the tomb of the unknown soldier. A man who had stood through snow, heat, thunder, and stillness to honor the nameless fallen. He had earned that medal in a covert rescue mission overseas. A mission never fully declassified, but whispered about in Pentagon corridors. The judge leaned forward, sensing his authority was being tested. "Sergeant, this is your last warning." Brooks finally spoke, his voice calm, unwavering. "With all due respect, sir, I wear this not for myself, but for every soldier who cannot speak today. You may not understand that, but they do." He nodded gently toward the crowd, dozens of veterans' families, some openly weeping now. One elderly man stood up shakily, clutching a cane and a photo of his son. "Let him speak," he said. Then another voice joined, then another, and then, as if choreographed by honor itself, every man and woman in the audience stood, hands over hearts, facing the judge, not in defiance, but in remembrance. The judge turned pale, his control of the room slipped through his fingers like dry sand. His clerk leaned in to whisper something, but the damage had been done. The courtroom was no longer his. It belonged to the silence of service, to the weight of sacrifice, to the unshakable presence of a soldier who didn't need to raise his voice to command the room. A court official burst through the doors with a document in hand. "Your Honor, urgent communication from the Department of Defense." The judge's jaw tightened. He took the paper and read quickly, his eyes darkening line by line. It was an official reprimand, direct from military legal command. His attempt to humiliate a Medal of Honor recipient on public record had triggered immediate review. Within hours, the judge's courtroom was suspended. By morning, his gavel was retired. A quiet administrative leave turned into full-blown investigation, and soon after, a resignation. His career didn't just end, it vanished under the weight of public backlash and military condemnation. Meanwhile, Staff Sergeant Brooks walked out of the courtroom flanked by veterans, widows, and children of the fallen. No one clapped, no one needed to. His walk was a march of silent victory, and in the weeks that followed, the moment went viral. Millions watched the clip of him standing tall while the judge tried to bring him down. "This is what dignity looks like," someone captioned. "This is why we honor them," said another. Brooks never responded to media requests. When asked what he thought about the judge's punishment, he simply said, "That day wasn't about me. It was about them." And he pointed to the portraits. Black and white faces held up by trembling hands. Right before the story ends, drop your location in the comments. Let's see how far this story has reached. Quick one before we go, drop your city or country in the comments and let's see how global this really is. So never mistake silence for weakness. True honor doesn't need permission to stand tall. If this story felt real to you, hit that like button, subscribe, and share your reflection in the comments.